What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, I watched the Gamescom opening night live. I know I talked about it before, about the whole Starfield live action trailer, which is beautiful. But someone in the comments asked my opinion about the Phil Spencer interviews. And I guess I could talk about them. I mean, I watched two. I watched the Destin Legary one, and I watched the one that he did with homegirl with the super yellow hair. I forgot her name. She's British, and she always does an interview with him like every year, basically. And so, what I took away from those interviews is that he's still on the same. He's still on message. He hasn't changed anything as far as that stuff goes. But something that happened at Gamescom, during all these interviews and this whole thing, is that Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out on Xbox this year. Very soon after, I guess, the PlayStation version is coming out next month. I don't know if it's actually the Xbox Series X version is coming out at the same time as the PlayStation version. But what's happening now is that the Xbox Series S version is shipping without split screen multiplayer. And it still has online multiplayer, that's there, but it's just that, that version won't have that at launch. I don't know if they're gonna try to get it to work or if they're gonna even do it at all. And this kind of represents a shift in thinking, I guess, over at Xbox, where that whole parity clause, which I don't really like the parity clause because it hinders hardware. Let me explain. Sony has a parity clause on all their multiplat games, all the games that are multiplat on PlayStation and everywhere else, because they're afraid to have the weaker version. So the thing is that if the PlayStation version usually is the lead platform anyway, so they don't really have to worry about it. But if a dev decides to actually use the machines to the fullest advantage, and also the parity clause hinders, like, if there's something that the Xbox Series X can do that the PlayStation 5 can't, the dev cannot make use of that power or whatever because of the parity clause. It's dumb. It's hindering video games. This is why, like, stupid contracts like this are dumb. And even the parity clause that Xbox implemented for their consoles was dumb because they're hindering themselves. And Baldur's Gate 3 is a perfect example. And also, there were other games. I think Halo Infinite might have been harmed in that sense. It's just a bad look. And whatever the hurdles are as far as getting parity, I mean, it is possible. I'm not saying it's not, but it's all about money. I said this before, and you can't force devs to do things that are going to cost them money and not going to give them, not going to benefit them financially. So, but anyway, that's the one major thing that happened, where Phil obviously had a meeting with Larian and said, yo, let's get this done, son. And before Gamescom, everybody's like, oh, it's delayed. Larian's on Twitter talking shit and like, oh, we can't do it because this and that and the third. And Xbox was quiet. They didn't say anything. And Paris was like, I want them to make a statement and da-da-da. Right? That's what Paris said. Now, oh, the game's coming out. Oh, they're not going to do the multiplayer split screen on the S. I hope they're happy. I mean, that's actually the best course of action. I have an S, so I'm not like, oh man, I'm missing out on. No, I know what I bought. I bought the not as good version, so I'm gonna get the not as good version of games. But I'm still gonna be in there, and I'm still gonna play the parts of the games that I want to play, basically, because I have no interest in split screen co-op, personally. And many gamers are that way as well. Many gamers have families, so there's a wide spectrum of gamers that would use both sides of those realities, basically. I'm trying to think of if there's anything specific that he had said during those interviews, because nothing really came came up, because I did listen to him, and I'm like, okay, yeah. You know, it's nothing new. Oh, the one thing that I did take from it was that he and other people at Xbox are considering the Starfield event, the Starfield launch, as the starting point of a more consistent cadence of AAA bangers from Xbox per year. So they said 1 per quarter, so 4 a year. That's doable based on how many studios they have. And the sentiment at Xbox, from what I've been seeing, is that's the case. Starfield's the jump off, and then I guess Motorsport is in the same. Is that in the same quarter, or is the quarter? When does the quarter end for? I don't know when the quarter ends for Microsoft. I know that their annual quarter is in the summertime. So I can't remember exactly where it is, but yeah, they have one of those offset. It's not to the calendar year anyway. So I think Forza actually might be in a separate quarter, according to their paperwork. So, so Starfield, and then Forza, and then I guess Stalker 2, but that's supposed to be in December, so I don't think that counts. Or maybe they're trying to. I mean, this year I think it's different because they have actually more games than they will usually have, I think, because they're catching up. But it's exciting because we still haven't seen. I mean, we've seen. They've announced South of Midnight, and they announced all these different games, which is like, all right, that's cool. That's gonna be one of the bangers. Here's another one. Halo Tatanka is probably gonna be one of them too. I think they will probably consider that one of them. I would, because that's probably gonna be a banger. Hopefully, depends on if battle royales are still popular. And yeah, I mean, basically he's kind of saying the same messages, and I think my worry is that this whole ABK deal and everything that's happening is gonna beat him down so much that he's gonna want to like quit. And I don't want Phil Spencer to quit, because he is one of the creatives. Creatives, artistic. He's a coder, first and foremost. That's what he started at Microsoft. He was coding programs, Colin. So as a creative CEO, unlike Bobby Kotick, unlike Jim Ryan, unlike Strauss Zelnick, he sat there and homegirl with the yellow hair was like, "Oh, so what you playing, mate?" I mean, she's not Australian, but you know what, you get it, right? And he rattled off so many games. I was like, damn, this fool plays more games than I do. And I'm nobody, and I'm a gamer. And he played more games than I do. Well, he's CEO of gaming, so he should be playing more games than I do. But still, he plays more games than I do. So I'm looking at Phil, and I'm looking at Jim, and I'm looking at whatever the other guys. We don't really care about the other two guys. But really about Phil and Jim, right? And I'm looking at Jim. I want somebody to ask him. They did actually ask him. He's like, "Oh yeah, I was playing Sackboy Adventures." I'm like, really? You were playing Sackboy Adventures? Really? Come on, son. So at least say a horror game or something. Come on, man. Jim Ryan, fake it better. Stop being foolish. But, and Phil was real, because he was like, yeah, I was playing, it was a Steam game. I had never heard of it. He's like, yeah, it's not on Xbox, it's on Steam. And I was like, he's a gamer. That's what I want our CEOs and bosses in the video game space to be, gamers. I don't want them to be businessmen who only care about making money and in turn make bullshit like the PlayStation Portal. That's what happens when you get a CEO that is not a gamer, that is just a businessman trying to make money off of y'all. $400 later, you're like, oh, I have wireless earbuds and I'm streaming from my PlayStation 5. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that again. That was last video. But yeah, I mean, he didn't say anything off color or anything. I don't remember. I'm probably gonna watch him again just to make sure that I didn't miss a point. I mean, you guys can let me know in the comments below if there was a point that I did miss or something specific that he did say. But it was just the same old Phil, basically. There were some Destin sent him some hard-boiled question. He brought up the Redfield thing, and I think what he said was, yeah, you know, we're learning. You know, it was kind of a generic type of answer. But the thing about Phil Spencer is that when he says stuff, I tend to believe him because he doesn't have how he is in the industry, who he is in the industry, and what he's doing as far as Xbox and Microsoft goes, for me, indicates that he's trying to sell games. He's trying to broaden the audience of Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Within the ecosystem. And that ecosystem is expanding outside of the box itself. And that's the whole plan. That's the thing. And that's where, you know, it's different from Sony and Nintendo. And all these other idiots out there who think that's the only way you win a console generation is you sell more units. That's not it. How? Who's making the most money? You know? I mean, by default, I think PlayStation may do it because they have more consoles and then more people buy stuff, and so they get more revenue because of that. But when you take into account Game Pass, you take into account Game Pass PC, you take into account all the other avenues that Microsoft has that Sony does not, who's making more money, really? Realistically, out of all the video game stuff, who's making more money? Now, it has been Sony because they've been running away with it, but I think that Microsoft this generation has made strides to correct all the mistakes they did last generation, basically. And it's apparent when you see the two companies side by side. You see what Sony's doing, you see what Microsoft's doing, you see what PlayStation's doing, you see what Xbox is doing, and it's like, wow, why is Sony not doing good things? Why are they messing up so bad? Why are they putting out this product that nobody wants? I haven't heard anybody anywhere say, oh my gosh, the PlayStation Portal is the best thing ever. I'm going to buy it. It's going to be cool. People will buy it because it's not as expensive as they thought it might be. And it's like, oh yeah, it's the cute little toy I can have and use once. Nobody's using that. It's the same way nobody's using their phone to play games and stream off a PlayStation. Nobody's doing that. Why would you buy a dedicated device that you have to spend even more money? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I'm sorry. I keep going back to that. Phil Spencer. I hope he does another 2 generations. I'm like, look, Phil, give us another 2 generations. That's a long time, man. That's almost 20 years. Look, if Phil gives us 20, he might give us another generation. I don't know if he's gonna give us 2 generations. I'm gonna say if he gives us another generation, that's fine. Promote Sarabon to that spot when he's done. All's good in the world. I'm not sure how much Sarabon plays, but she knows what she's doing. She's a super smart individual. So I'm like, yo, let's go. And you know, you see the difference between the different personalities in the different camps, right? You see the people over at PlayStation, right? And Jim Ryan's hogging up all the air in the room over there, and he's making all the wrong decisions and saying all the wrong things. Meanwhile, Herman Hulst is keeping that place in business because he's doing all the gaming stuff. We should be talking to Herman Hulst more. We should be hearing more from Herman Hulst, the game dude. The leader of the PlayStation Studios, that guy. Because Jim Ryan ain't got nothing to say to us. As gamers, got nothing to say to us. No, we don't want to hear nothing he got to say because he ain't saying nothing. At least Herman Hulst, he knows games. He was, you know, leader of Guerrilla. And now, you know, he knows how to make a game. So he's a gamer. He's you know, let's talk to more people like that instead of these freaking CEOs that don't know nothing. And it's not just CEOs in general. Like I said, Phil Spencer's a CEO, but he's a gamer. Anyway, rambling. I appreciate y'all hanging out. Share out with this mind, like, subscribe. Let me know in the comments. I know I missed something. Let me know in the comments what exactly that you guys thought about Phil Spencer interviews and what he said or what he didn't say. I don't know. And compare and contrast. Like, think about how, you know, Jim Ryan would conduct interview or have interviews, be a part of interviews, and how he answered questions, and listen to Phil and how he answers questions, and like look at the two and say like who's more sincere, you know. Jim Ryan's just a mouthpiece who says things like, oh, the magic of this and the super SSD is never before seen, first in class. He says all the stupid things to make you believe, to hype you up, but it's really just lies and nonsense. Phil is more sincere, you know? And that's what I want from a CEO. That's what I want. When I buy a product, I want to feel good about buying a product, you know? And then the ponies be like, but what about the games? Well, to be honest, Sony's on the dry, they're at the desert right now. They just left the oasis, and all I see is desert sands for PlayStation. After Spider-Man 2, they got nothing. Wolverine is an unproven franchise. I don't think Wolverine's gonna be that good, honestly. Because this, like I said this before, Wolverine is not Spider-Man. He never will be. He never will be as liked and widely. You know, Spider-Man is the most popular Marvel character. Wolverine is not the most likable character. Not even close. I mean, the X-Men movies and Hugh Jackman has helped, but they have way more popular and more liked characters in Marvel besides Wolverine. But anyway, I appreciate y'all, and I'm a bounce. Just let me know in the comments, all the good stuff. And I'll talk to y'all on the next one. Tilt the weight.